So welcome back for part 5, which is Ted. Ted has always been the kind of the protagonist in my mind, mainly because he's the narrator in the original story. And what we will find with Ted is that the symbolism of his quest is very much up front and out in your face. You're going to pick up on what's being implied here very quickly and very easily, because Ted was in his backstory a serial womanizer who was notorious for manipulating women, especially affluent women, to lead a very parasitic lifestyle and leech off of them and that sort of thing. So because of that, the symbolism of his story, it's going to be kind of a dark, perverted sort of take on the classic Disney archetypes of Prince Charming and the Sleeping Beauty and that sort of thing. So it's got a really kind of beautiful gothic look to it and everything, which just really speaks to me. I think Ted and Ellen are probably my personal favorite levels. I think Gorister too. Also, the others are also phenomenal, but just for personal experience, I think Ted and Ellen are probably my favorites. And for Ellen, it's because I love the world of it. For Ted, I love the way the characters interact, and there's really good, really strong character interaction in this sequence. And I think you could tell that in this one, in other sequences, like we just got done with Nimdok is mainly just observing and reacting to things because his memory's not there. Or in the case of Benny has some great character interaction too, but it's limited to just the one child that he's able to communicate with through the computer. In this one, you're going to really get to see, I think, a good character development in the sense of these characters really interacting with each other and really developing the story through dialogue and back and forth narration and that sort of thing. So let's jump into it.
Hey, you're my favorite, baby. I mean it. I really can't stand all the rest of these people. Every one of them has some fatal glitch in personality. Whiners, freaks, crimps, cowards, every one of them. But not you, Ted. No. Not you, Ted. You were a stand-up guy. You were a brave guy. Yes, a take charge kind of guy. So, I'm going to give you, just you, the opportunity to get out, live some kind of life. I'm going to send you, you're going to like this, I'm going to send you to the Room of Dark. If you can solve the puzzle of the Room of Dark, you're free. You out. You're away. Well, now, I know I've made you a paranoid, Ted. I know you're scared. But I'm your friend. 109 years. I'm your best friend. So overcome your fear. Enter the Room of Dark, and you can solve its mystery.
Obviously, Am does not think well of Ted, and that monologue that you just heard is obviously meant to recreate the way in which Ted would have been talking to women to try to manipulate things out of them. Now, what's interesting to me is, in a lot of this, now Ted is unquestionably narcissistic, off the charts narcissistic, and you'll hear that even when he starts talking. This is one where the voice acting is very spot on. So you'll really hear that, but I always wonder about the level of psychopathy that's apparent with a character like Ted. In Nimdok's sequence, we talked about how Joseph Mengele shows up in the sequence to distinguish Nimdok and his moral shortfalls from a character like Mengele, who is wholly without morality in any way, shape, or form, that they actually are different and that matters. In the case of Ted, we see a character who, they say that, I've heard it said that psychopaths are born and sociopaths are made, and Ted feels like somebody who has, again, made himself this thing over time. And so we're really going to be peeling back the layers in that regard. Now, The official strategy guide for I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream identifies that giant bird that just swooped in as a roc, spelled R-O-K. And rocks in mythology, they show up in a lot of different mythological canons, everywhere from Arabic stories to kind of westernized English accounts, that kind of thing. They're mentioned by Marco Polo, for example. And the nature of a roc is basically that it's a giant bird that is so large it can pick up things like elephants and carry them up to a great height and drop them to their doom. So I think what we're seeing here is the symbolism being that Ted has been this person that elevates people to feel great, to feel wonderful about themselves, only to drop them when he's done with them. And that is very much the nature of how people with narcissistic personality disorder will operate, and that kind of thing. And so that is that really underscores the nature of what Ted is. And so the roc drops this this arrow sign pointing towards the Room of Dark. Now what's interesting is, as we'll see, most of Ted's sequence does not take place in the Room of Dark. So I'll let it roll and we'll see what happens after that.
This path disappears down into the mist. There's something moving down there. I can't see it, but I know it's there. The arrow's pointing toward the Room of Dark. Should I follow it or go the other way? Which is the worse of the two choices? An octagon. Unusual shape for a building. 8 sides. Why 8? Is that part of the mystery? Video screens. Each one shows a scene of some other place. Why? What mystery does Am want me to solve? Say, these video screens have palm print switches next to them. I never liked going to the circus. All those clowns with their phony grease paint smiles. You can't tell what they're really thinking. A castle, right out of the Brothers Grimm. I feel like there's something watching me from the windows. Why show me a rooftop? Why not a door? And why this particular rooftop? A forest. I'm not one to go hiking through. This forest is dark, foreboding. This looks like the tire swing at the farm I grew up on. What does Am know about my childhood? Is he taunting me?
Oh, well, I have to say, before I comment on this section, I just ordered totally indulged myself and ordered a triple bacon cheeseburger from the American Grill in Marietta, Georgia. If you ever get a chance to try this thing, wow. It's the only burger I've ever had that had an afterglow. Whew. Anyway, so when the octagonal shape of the room is never made clear as far as what that means. I think my best guess at the symbolism is there are 3 components to Am and 5 players in the game, and so it's these 8 characters that have been pitted against each other throughout the course of the game. I think that would be, I assume, what it means. More obvious symbolism in Ted not liking clowns in the circus because he is terrified of fake people. And conversely, he is also terrified of being outed as a fake person. You'll remember from the introduction at the very beginning of the game that Am reminds Ted that he could tell the other 4 people that there was no home on the shore drive, no cabin cruiser that could sleep 12 in a crew of 6. All of that. He keeps telling him, I can out you as the fake that you are. So Ted is put off by fake things, but he's also terrified of fake things. So that's going to be a major role in this, is can he become a genuine person? I'm not sure. It's very interesting what the rooftop there. I'm not sure what the rooftop symbolizes. Mainly because you can't really see it. The image of the rooftop, you can't really see it or make make out what it is. So it's difficult to say. Then obviously the tire swing. This is very much a Charles Foster Kane Rosebud kind of thing, of looking back on his simple, genuine life on the farm where he grew up, but also he's been trying to escape the fact that he comes from poor white trash his whole life and wants to pass himself off as a blue-blooded royal, basically. Within that scene, there is only one of those panels will work, and it's the panel that takes you to the castle. The rest leads you to certain doom. So, and there are various alternate outcomes that I won't get into here. But that gives you an idea of where we're going next, and so we're going to go into this castle sequence. And like I said, that's it for the Room of Dark. So it's interesting that we're not. I do think the Room of Dark represents, in a Jungian context, the shadow self and that sort of thing. And looking into the shadow is probably more important for Ted than any other character in this game. Because the shadow, in a Jungian sense, refers to all of the mental baggage that we don't want to acknowledge about ourselves and that we push away. And in the rest of the characters, they don't really have that problem. Gorrister knows why he's tormented. Benny is well aware of what he is, the horrible person that he is. He's just proud of it. Nimdok has dementia and can't remember it for that reason. Ellen has forgotten it due to trauma, or has forgotten large parts of her history due to trauma. Ted, on the other hand, is the one that is scared of looking at himself, knows what he is, secretly is aware of what he is, and does not want to acknowledge it.
This time, he's left me here alone. Still, I feel as though I'm being watched. This gargoyle is even larger than those of Penelope's estate in the Hamptons. So typical of the castles I've visited in Europe. A beautiful facade disguising ordinary stone. Appearance is everything. This door looks built to withstand quite a determined assault. I never realized that a knight's armor was so heavy. How were they ever able to fight? So many women have called me their knight in shining armor, but never Ellen. Why, that maiden looks just like Ellen. She seems so sad and so beautiful. There is an evil in this room. I feel it all around me. Glass. Glass. Pieces of a broken mirror. Ouch! I cut myself. Why, this is a collection of books on the black arts. There must be dozens of volumes. This is a catalog of the demons ruling the abyss. One of these entries is circled. Surgot, opener of locks. Supposedly, he can open anything. Too bad I can't read Arabic. From the notes in the margins, I gather it has something to do with opening a gate into another world. This book seems to be about how to change metals into gold. I've read a fair number of science textbooks, but I can't make head nor tail of any of these formulas. I feel a cold draft blowing across the bed like from an open grave. This looks like a chapel, but there's something unholy about it. It must be the gargoyles. Nothing special about this rod except for the ridiculous gargoyle face on top. Fits almost perfectly.
So, a few things to take note of here. First, a fairly obvious, I keep saying fairly obvious, but the symbolism of the armor. Ted says that it's very heavy. He doesn't know how knights are able to wear it into battle. So Ted does not know what he's saying here. The subtext of what he's saying here is he does not know if he's going to be able to take on the role of the knight in shining armor, that this is going to require more personal strength than he thinks he has. We see when he looks at the tapestries, himself described as or talks about how he has previously been described as a knight in shining armor by everybody except Ellen. So Ted does have actual feelings for Ellen, and that is reflected, spoiler alert, that is reflected in the original I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream short story, which if you haven't read that by now, what the hell are you doing here? Go do that and come back to me. Anyway, but at the end of the I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream short story, Ted ultimately sacrifices himself to save Ellen. What that means is actually turned on its head. It's a very bizarre way of sacrificing yourself to quote-unquote save someone else. I'll let you read the story and see what I mean. So it's very turned on its head, but he does sacrifice himself to help Ellen at the end of the original short story. So that's another reason that I like this character so much, because of all, very little is said about their backgrounds in the story, but in this one, we get to actually see some character development that's especially relevant to what goes on in the story. Just like Benny is such an oddity in the story, and we find out a little bit about what's going on in his... We don't find out about as much about him, but we see a little bit more of a window into his past to explain why he is the way he is presently. So then the last thing that you just saw me do was where Ted gets the icon from the chapel and installs it in the door, uses it as a door hinge to close the door, and then pushes the armor in front of the door. The reason for that, what you find out if you're playing it for the first time, is you have only a certain number of moves before the wolves. There are wolves in the forest, and they will be mentioned later in the game. But the wolves in the forest will break through or break into the castle and eat you alive. You have only a few moves before they get there. So that is what that is. Now, what's interesting is, the idea of the wolves at the door is a very prominent symbol of something that you don't want to confront is about to force itself on you. So again, a very obvious symbol, but also it's interesting because what happens here, we see this is where there are certain layers to the morality of what's going on, because essentially Ted is hiding from those wolves. He's hiding from the wolves. He's not confronting them, but in so doing, in hiding, he has confined himself to the castle. He now has no choice but to confront, to go inside his own psyche and confront what's happening. And I think it's you noticed at the beginning that there's that pathway that leads off into the distance away from the room of dark before you go into it. So from the very beginning, Am is dropping all of these opportunities for Ted to wimp out and indulge his lesser nature. And this is now we have risen to a point. This is why the moral barometer goes up when he does this, because we have now put Ted in a place where he has no choice but to confront.
This must be the bedroom of the lord of the castle. I've read this novel. It's about a foolish old man who believes he's a knight destined to revive the golden age of chivalry. I know this. It's Dante. Funny. I used to be quite a reader. That was before I discovered women, especially the wealthy and lonely ones. Quite an I've read this novel. It's about a foolish old man who believes he's a knight destined to revive the golden age of chivalry. I know this story. It's about a magician who sells his soul to the devil in exchange for power. This looks like a diary. The first passage reads, "My new wife continues her rapid aging. Each day is as a year to her. I believe that the magic drains her, twists her." The second passage reads, "The incantations I hear from my wife's infernal workroom are the purest evil. Perhaps it is her hatred of my daughter that drives her up there." The third passage reads, "Ellen grows weaker and weaker. My wife advises an antidote to her illness, but it lies very far away. I must assemble a caravan." The final passage reads, "The forest has grown dark and overrun with dire wolves since my marriage. I doubt that even with a full complement of men I shall return alive, but I must try." This was one of my favorites. It's about how King Arthur assembled the most chivalrous knights in all Europe. This is Plato's dialogue about the nature of love. I know this. It's Dante's epic journey through hell, heaven, and purgatory. No one slept in this bed for ages. The sheets are coated with dust.
So throughout I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, we have been seeing the Allied Master Computer using literary references and other artistic references to indicate certain underlying themes within the levels. Another great example being Gorister's interaction with the jukebox and in his level. So one of the more interesting ones there is the inclusion of Don Quixote. Now, obviously the journal gives us some background information on what's been going on at the castle, but the inclusion of Don Quixote, all of these books have some relevance, and Don Quixote is so interesting to me because Don Quixote is the story of as he said, a foolish old man who believes he's a knight, and so this is a man who has some kind of dementia. And by the way, put a pin or put this lovely this lovely instrument that came with the, I can't think of what these are called right now because I'm still delirious, but this lovely instrument that came with the burger I just ate, put a pin in that, because dementia is going to be a topic that plays into the final battle with Am in a very real way. Anyway, so the character of Don Quixote is obviously suffering some kind of dementia, and he is hallucinating that all of these common everyday things that he's encountering are actually these great, great fascinating encounters from this medieval fantasy realm that he's living in. And this is, by the way, where we get the expression tilting at windmills for people that are, pursuing some kind of ridiculous flight of fancy, or are fighting an imaginary cause, or something like that, deluding themselves in some way. That expression comes from Don Quixote. But what's interesting to me is in Don Quixote we have a character named Aldonza. And Aldonza is actually, and by the way, if you ever see the musical The Man of La Mancha, she plays a very prominent role, and she has one of the most stunning songs in the entire musical. Anyway, so there's a character of Aldonza, and Don Quixote believes not only that he is a knight riding into battle, but that his lady that he's riding into battle in the name of is this woman who he has given her a name, but her fake name, but her actual name turns out to be Aldonza, and she is a common prostitute. And what's so interesting, the implication with this, is in the relationship of him to Aldonza, we start to see something very different, which is the suggestion that Don Quixote is not just, he's not delusional so much as he is able to see the best in things, and that he's able to see the best in things in a way that most people aren't. And in the case of Aldonza, he sees qualities in her that everybody else has written off, and as such he rides into battle for her. So, very interesting idea there, especially the chair I'm sitting on is broken. Especially as it relates to how Ted is going to interact with women and what is expected of him. Because throughout all of his life, Ted has been a social climber. He has only been interested in women of high, noble value that he can leech off of, and now he's going to have to get through this sequence, he is going to have to find the good in the common, the good in the everyday person. And in this case, it's going to be Ellen, and she'll factor into it shortly.
Why, it's Ellen! Did Am tell her that I loved her? Was that the secret he was referring to?
Oh, Ted. I feel so tired, so weak.
Did Am do this to you?
Yes, maybe. I can't tell. They whisper in my ear, and this bed is so soft.
Can you walk?
No, I'm too weak. I haven't been out of this bed in ages.
Please, hang on, Ellen. Your father went to find an antidote for your illness.
That was weeks ago, Ted. My father will never return, with or without an antidote.
Do you know if there's a way to escape from this place?
I searched the entire castle grounds before I fell ill. There's no escape for me but death.
No, I won't let you die!
I can't take this suffering anymore, Ted. The things I've endured, help me to die with dignity. Don't let anyone violate me again, not even in death.
No, don't go! I need you. We need you.
If you really care for me, Ted, bring me my hand mirror.
Why do you want a mirror?
My stepmother has been jealous of me ever since she became ugly. She had something to do with my illness. I know it, but she doesn't dare come near me while I have the mirror.
Where is your mirror?
I left it on my dressing table. Bring it to me.
Perfume bottles, jewelry boxes, but no mirror. Perfume...
Ted, please tell me you found my mirror.
I looked on your dressing table. Your mirror's not there.
You have to find it, Ted. It's the only thing keeping my stepmother away, and it's the only thing that can finally end my suffering.
Go back to sleep, Ellen.
Yes, sleep. That's what I need.
Despite the medieval trappings, I've seen kitchens like this before. This is a place where servants do all the work. Excuse me, do you work here?
Why, of course I work here. Why else would I be plucking this chicken? Say, you're a handsome gent. There aren't many men left in these parts.
What happened to Ellen?
Lady Ellen? Oh, she's been ill and that's all I know. It's not healthy to ask too many questions these days. Let's talk about you instead.
Is there a way to escape from this castle?
Escape? With all of those wolves in the forest? Well, it's safer to stay in the castle. The beds are very cozy. You should try mine sometime.
Where is Ellen's stepmother? I must speak with her.
A word to the wise. Keep your nose out of the old woman's business unless you want it covered with warts. I wouldn't want to see any harm come to that gorgeous face of yours.
Where can I find a mirror?
What do you want with a mirror? Those are pretty rare, what with an ugly woman in charge of the castle.
Please, I need to find a mirror.
And you are what I need. I'll make a deal with you. I will tell you where you can find a mirror if you spend some quality time in my bed.
That's a flattering offer, but I'm not interested.
I'll give you what you need. Hasn't it been too long for you?
Sorry, but it's out of the question.
What's the matter? Aren't I good enough for you? Not classy enough? Not rich enough?
I'm sure you're a fine woman, but my heart belongs to another.
So, you're in love with that thing sleeping in a bed? Have you ever been with one? Or are you just curious? I can make you so...
In case you missed it, that comment about that thing sleeping in her bed was indeed a reference to Ellen being black. Now, what we're running into here is, as Ted's scenario is interesting to me because it's also the closest one, I think, to something that Harlan Ellison himself struggled with, which is that in his life, Ellison was an absolute ladies' man. And unlike the pickup artists of modern time, there is actual evidence to suggest that he did have considerable success with women. And concurrent to that is that Ellison wrote a lot about men who are womanizers, players that have that have to confront everything that their behavior has brought upon the women in their lives, realizing that these women that went crazy on them are actually went crazy because of things they did to them. So this is something that I think Ellison really felt this very profoundly. He's been very open about his promiscuous background. And again, it was something that showed up in a lot of his stories. It shows up in quite a few of the stories in Deathbird stories. Of those particular stories, my favorite one in this one is On the Downhill Side. My favorite story in the whole book is Deathbird, which is the title story of. Read it. It's incredible. Anyway, or Another example would be the story Grail, which can be found in, I'm sorry, not Grail, Croatoan, which can be found in Strange Wine, and then the aforementioned Grail, which can be found in Stalking the Nightmare, as well as Edgeworks Volume 2, and The Essential Ellison. The Essential Ellison also has a great story in it called Valerie, a True Memoir, which is nonfiction, and then it has a very nice picture of Valerie. And then there's also a story that he wrote for Playboy called All the Birds Come Home to Roost, which is about a man who must confront all of the women he has dated in reverse order. And then of course, it's all over his collection, Love Ain't Nothing But Sex Misspelled. And there's plenty more examples where that came from, but those are just a few of these stories about men who are deeply troubled by all of the fact that they've been with so many women, and it seems to be creeping back up on them. So while Ellison certainly was not a philandering playboy like Ted, he was someone who got around with a lot of women and really started to see the effects of that on himself and other women after a while. So it feels like this is maybe a very personal story for him.
Much happier. I can, you know.
Look, I am not going to make love with you.
Oh, all right. I have another deal for you. The oven's broken. If you can fix it, I'll get you a mirror.
Ah, there's the problem. I'll have this fixed in a jiffy. It's been so long since I've gotten dirt under my fingernails from good, honest work. I fixed your oven. Now where is the mirror?
Sorry, I don't know where a mirror is, but at least now I can finish dinner.
Why, you used me, you bitch!
Just like you tried to use me, you snobby bastard. I'll bet you've used lots of women with your smug charm. You're nothing but a phony.
Please,
Well, you did fix the oven. Listen, the old woman knows where the mirror is, but she's afraid of it. She obviously can't get to it herself, or she would have destroyed it by now.
Where can I find the old woman?
Don't worry. She'll find you.
This is the only lock I've seen in the entire castle. Is Anne trying to lure me in, or does he want to keep me out?
Is Lady Ellen prepared?
As ready as she will ever be. The spell keeps her body weak, but she will remain conscious.
The art of sacrifice is reduced to science. And what of the glamour?
We must wait for its removal. It remains beyond our best efforts.
Then we wait for a prince. With his help, we can open the gate to the other world.
Now where did they go? It's so unlike Am to provide light when he knows how frightening the dark can be. He's up to something. A secret passage! What's waiting for me up there? It's the witch! What is she doing with her hands? Some kind of incantation, perhaps? What have you done to Ellen, you old witch?
Ah, our prince has finally arrived. Now we can begin our ritual.
Why do you call me a prince?
Isn't that who you want to be to Ellen? Her Prince Charming? I need someone to gain her trust, to break down her defenses. It's a part you played many times in the real world.
What ritual are you talking about?
A sacrifice, a trade. Ellen's life in exchange for safe passage through the gate.
What's this about a gate?
The gate is a passage into the surface world. It is the only way out of this place.
What's supposed to be my role in this ritual?
I need you to destroy Ellen's mirror. She has been using it to keep me away from her. I want you to break it so that I can complete what I have started.
So you just want me to break the mirror?
It is not that simple. The mirror holds great power. It can be broken only within the magic circle.
Why can't you destroy the mirror yourself?
I am aging rapidly, and despite my powers, I am a slave to vanity. I can't bring myself to look into the mirror.
Where is Ellen's mirror?
It is on her dressing table.
I looked on Ellen's dressing table. The mirror's not there.
You must find that mirror. It has great magical properties. Without it, I cannot guarantee that I can complete the ceremony.
Why can't you open the gate without the mirror?
There are others who have an interest in Ellen's fate. That mirror may be the only way to keep meddlers from interfering.
What if I can't find the mirror?
Then go to the devil!
What's in it for me if I help you?
An opportunity to escape Am's tortures forever.
I ought to kill you instead.
Ho-ho! Do we fancy ourselves the avenging knight? My magic is much more powerful than any physical force you can muster. Begone!
I will never help you.
Then do it for Ellen. Release her from her misery. Destroy the mirror, and perhaps you can both escape from here.
Perhaps there's something else I can do for you instead.
Well, it has been a long time since my husband left. If you can satisfy my needs as a woman, then I will help you escape.
I'm not going to make love to you. I would never betray my love for Ellen.
Oh, you do a very convincing job of playing Prince Charming. But I know you better than that. Destroy the mirror, and I will let you escape into the surface world.
Let me think about your offer.
Do not think too long. The forces at work here are not patient.
A partially completed circle inscribed with a pentagram. This must be part of a black ritual. I don't think I want to know what kinds of sermons were preached here.
I love how casually the devil just appears right there. Now, the neat thing, by the way, is he said, what if I can't find the mirror? She said, then go to the devil. And now, literally, we have to go to the devil.
Who are you?
I'm a devil, of course. Why else would I have this pointed tail?
What do you want?
Ellen's soul. That's a valuable commodity where I come from.
Can you tell me where Ellen's mirror is?
Sorry, I don't bother with such material things. They only bring about bad luck.
Who is this Sir God I've heard about?
He's a minor spirit, a demon. Don't confuse him with those pathetic imps, or heaven forbid, higher order devils. Opener of all locks, indeed.
It sounds like you really hate demons.
You got that right. In fact, the only things we consider worse than those untrustworthy fellows are angels.
How can beings as powerful as yourselves stoop to fighting like school children?
Well, it's like this, big boy. In hell, we do things exactly like you do them here. Or used to do them before Am took over.
Are you saying that Am is in control of hell?
Oh, don't look so surprised. Who else could be in control of this madhouse? Only man could create such a monster. Sorry.
What do you mean that you do things like we do here?
I mean that there are always internal struggles, petty conflicts for power. Only in this case, the struggles are between entities that you can't see, or might rarely see. That means serious problems for you.
What problems can these unseen struggles cause for me?
You must decide who is your friend and who is your enemy. And remember, with Am's control over morphogenic fields, appearances mean nothing.
Please, go away!
Try to understand my position. I can't leave because there's an angel coming to take away her soul. If I step out and your friend croaks, the holy eunuch spirits the goods off to heaven.
So in that exchange, we hear him referring to how there are power struggles going on between entities that you cannot see. And what he is actually referring to is the struggle that's going on behind the scenes between the American, Russian, and Chinese iterations of the Allied master computer. They're all struggling for dominance of Am's psychology. Now, what's interesting here is we see again the Jungian presentation of Christian symbolism as archetypal for the workings of the mind. And Am is very much represents the idea of a God who is embodied in the universe. He's not separate from the universe, he's embodied in the universe. In other words, everything that we can see, hear, touch, all of these things are God. We are within God, surrounded by God all the time. And so this is an interpretation of God that has been discussed and passed around for a very long time. And in Aeon, by the way, there is a really excellent series by I cannot think of his name. I will put it on the screen as I'm talking. That it's called Aeon, Jordan Peterson's Nightmare, that goes into Carl Jung's book Aeon in depth, but it talks about how the structure of Christ and Christian symbolism relates very directly to the functioning of the mind, and that's what we're seeing here. So Ted is not really getting the point. Ted is saying, is Am in control of hell? And like as if to suggest, if I die, if I die, I'm gonna go to hell, and then it will be infinitely worse there as well. So he's missing the point. The point is that there are these psychological constructs at war for dominance in Am's mind, but also that those same psychological constructs are at war for dominance in Ted's mind. And that's what Ted is experiencing, what he's having to, when he says choose who is your ally and who's not, he's trying to say, what part of your conscience are you going to listen to?
Ted, please tell me you found my mirror.
Who is this witch who lives here with you?
She's my stepmother. When the ugliness infected her, she broke just about every mirror in the castle.
I can't let you die. The devil is waiting to take your soul.
My soul was taken long, long ago, Ted. And not just by Am. Anything would be better than this never-ending torture.
I'm sorry, Ellen. I can't find your mirror.
You have to find it, Ted. It's the only thing keeping my stepmother away, and it's the only thing that can finally end my suffering.
Go back to sleep, Ellen.
Yes, sleep. That's what I need.
Why, this is... Luckily, I'm up on my Shakespeare, or I wouldn't have noticed this book about witches. Here's the spell that the witch must have cast on Ellen. The incantation is Kala Ingma Thako. this... I know all about the sleeping spell you cast on Ellen, and I'm prepared to use it on you.
Foolish mortal! You don't have the ability to use the spell properly.
Oh, don't I? Kala Ingma Thako.
Oh, I suddenly feel so sleepy.
She's unconscious, I hope.
Why'd you have to finish the circle? Now I'm stuck here until we work out a trade.
Who are you?
I am Surgat, opener of locks. Am and I are brothers, more or less.
Are you saying that you are another Am?
It would be more accurate to say that I am a part of him. A part that he doesn't know exists.
What kind of locks can you open?
I can open anything. Doors to a boudoir, doors to another world.
What were you saying about a trade?
I can return to my sphere of origin only if we complete a trade. I will unlock something for you if you give me something in return.
Can you open a gate into the surface world?
Now that's a tall order, and the only...
So Surgat appears in I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, and he also appears in Harlan Ellison's story Grail, in which he has a similar role to the one he has here, interfering in lock opening issues that are actually metaphors for the opening of the human heart.
Thing you've got is a little love. Not exactly true love, but the closest thing to it in a world of 5 real people, more or less.
You say love has trading value?
Love is a very rare and precious commodity down here. It is worth much at the bargaining table. Betray your love for Ellen, give me her soul, and I'll open the gate to the surface world.
How about taking the witch's soul instead?
No, I don't want that old hag. I want something that you value.
Let me think about your offer.
Don't think too long, human. There are other players in this game, and I won't be able to keep my offer open forever. That's much better. I feel my energy renewed. Now, what were you asking me, human?
Let me...
Don't think too long.
Is Aunt... The door's locked. Can you unlock the maid's bedroom door?
There. It is done. A trivial little task, one not even requiring any pyrotechnics. The maid's boudoir is now open for your inspection.
I don't believe you can unlock the maid's bedroom door from here.
Well then, why don't you go down to the kitchen and see for yourself?
This must be the servants' quarters. These things would only interest a peasant. Besides, I don't want to get caught stealing. The devil's looking into a hand mirror. You're as good as your word. The maid's bedroom was unlocked.
Would I lie? I'm a demon, after all. Now, fulfill your end of the bargain and let me out of here.
I already gave you something. Some drops of my blood.
You call that a fair exchange? That supposedly blue blood of yours is as worthless as a counterfeit bill. No, we must work out another trade, one where the stakes are high.
Let me think about your offer.
Don't think too long, human. There are other players in this game, and I won't be able to keep my offer open forever.
Who are you?
Do not fear me. I am an agent of the Lord.
What do you want?
Ellen has suffered much and has earned her place in paradise. I have come to guide her soul to heaven.
Can you tell me where Ellen's mirror is?
No, I haven't seen the mirror. If I knew where it was, I would use it to get rid of my fallen brother.
Why is everyone so interested in the mirror?
Mirrors harbor incalculable power in this sphere. They repel some and attract others.
What power does this mirror have over Ellen?
It can bring about either her salvation or destruction. Her fate now rests on your shoulders.
What can you tell me about the devil?
Do not listen to him. His kind means only destruction and woe.
Who is this Sir God I've heard about?
Avoid the demon. He has caused us all trouble on more than one occasion.
Please, save us.
Fear not. Salvation is at hand.
I've seen the tapestry in the maid's bedroom, and I think you do know where Ellen's mirror is.
Oh, all right. I know where it is. I hid it before the angel showed up. I didn't want Golden Boy to use it to his advantage.
Where is Ellen's mirror?
I hid it someplace good, someplace where an angel would never go. Now will you get off my back?
Ted, please tell me you found my mirror.
There's an angel and a devil quarreling over your soul.
Men have been fighting over my body for more than 100 years, and now they want my soul. Please, Ted, just release me from all this. I don't care what happens to me anymore.
There's a hand mirror right between the Inferno and Purgatorio sections. So this is where the devil hid it.
It would seem I have a certain amount of egg on my face. I had said in the Nimdoc level that it's the same icon for the mirror in every level. I was mistaken to say that it's the same icon in the Allied Master Computer level. However, I do think, I still maintain that the mirror has the same symbolic value throughout all of the levels.
I found Ellen's mirror.
Well, go ahead and show it to Ellen. Let's get this show on the road. My, I am gorgeous. Why, I could just plunge right into myself.
Ted, please tell me you found my mirror.
There's an angel here waiting to take your soul, Ellen. Do you want to go with him?
Perhaps there is salvation for me, Ted. If only I could look into my mirror.
I found your mirror, Ellen.
Then show it to me. Let me see my face one last time. Oh, I look so tired and empty. It's time to sleep. Sleep forever.
Ellen is now safely in heaven. My time here is ended, but I leave you with this warning. Do not break the mirror until you bring it and the devil into the charm circle. God bless you, Ted.
So Ellison was very much a staunch critic of Christianity and a practicing atheist. However, here he uses Christian imagery to great effect, similar to the way that it was used by C.S. Lewis, arguably one of the greatest fantasists of all time, and himself a very devout Christian. And that symbolism being that, or that corollary being that in both cases, here in I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, and in C.S. Lewis's writings such as the Chronicles of Narnia and that kind of thing, we see devotion to God and devotion to a higher spiritual calling being portrayed in terms of knights and kings and royalty and conquests and that sort of thing, which would seem on the surface to strike against the passive, forgiving, compassionate nature of Jesus Christ. However, what Lewis and Ellison here are doing are using imagery, monarchist imagery, to suggest that while one can never surpass the king symbolically, God, the greatest entity, one can achieve the highest ranking of their own soul, their own spirit, within the construct of God's existence, which would be to, be one of the knights of the Round Table or one of the highest ranking knights in the kingdom. As Wormwood says as Screwtape says in the Screwtape letters, the enemy, meaning God, wants, we, meaning the devils, want cattle that can eventually become food. He, meaning God, wants servants who can eventually become sons. So this noble, the image of this rising up by your noble title and that sort of thing, is used to make a very profound corollary to what it means to elevate your soul and your personal spiritual standing in the eyes of the Lord.
What happened? How did I get trapped with this demon?
I brought you some company, Sir Gott.
That was damn stupid, human. Hell, you're not even human anymore. Not exactly. Not with being kept alive forever just to be tortured over and over again. Who do you think is responsible for that?
Why, Am's responsible for our suffering.
Not just Am. He's clever, but he doesn't do much original thinking. He works best with outside research. Research that one of your party carried out.
You're ruining everything. Shut up!
Obviously, we already know that's Nimdoc. The game is set up again so that you can play it in any order, and there will be certain revelations and certain mysteries, no matter what order you play it in.
You shut up! One word to the boss and your little game's over before you can say, Holy Moses! I should strangle you now and save Am the trouble!
Don't you even think of touching me, you backstabbing demon! I'm the established character. You're not even supposed to be here. When this sequence ends, somebody will be expunged.
Human, Ted, Let me out of this circle. In return, I will open the gate to the surface world. I'm part of the big machine. I can do this. Let me out before this pompous oaf bores me to death.
Open the gate to the surface world first, and then I'll erase the circle.
Not to worry, human. I always uphold my end of the bargain. Here you are. But bring your radiation suit. I never promised you paradise, just the surface world.
Enough of this turgid passion play. There's no more to accomplish. Oh, too bad, Ted. Writhe in sweet agony with the knowledge the surface world is no longer habitable to your kind. No, not ever again.
And so we come to the end of another installment of the Let's Play and Analyze I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream series. Now, I will be back for the final episode next time, in which the humans will show down with the Allied master computer, and everything that we've been building towards all along comes to a head. Now, I want to leave with one final observation about that little kind of Abbott and Costello routine that happened between Surgat and the devil, namely that you heard what the devil said to Surgat: you're not supposed to be here, that you're going to be expunged. So, and the devil at this point is talking very specifically about this actual is talking very specifically about an actual simulation that he's referring to the game itself. He's breaking out of the fourth wall within the fourth wall of the game, if you will, and speaking very directly about the actual simulation, the level that's happening. And he's talking about how Surgat will be expunged. Now, it's a modest spoiler to say that what we will find is that come the next level, Surgat has not been expunged. And this is a little bit of a question, because we can argue that what's being implied there is that what has happened was that they, the humans in playing that level, actually summoned Surgat from the actual pits of hell, which raises the question, how much of what we just saw. Now, obviously, we're going to see in the next level, we're going to see that Ellen has not been sent off to heaven. That was just part of her simulation, or just part of a simulation. But it would appear that the actual Surgat is interacting with us, and this is an interesting question of what's going on there. Now, it's never directly stated that it's the actual Surgat. It could just be a symbol for all we know, but nevertheless, Surgat represents what has broken in Am's mind, what is causing Am to function differently. We're going to get into the vast intricacies of that in the final installment. Peace out.